And you know what time it is? It's time for KP's Video News. KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video News, y'all. Right. KP's Video News, y'all.
Margot Slade has been released. Margot Slade has been released from prison. That's right, folks. Margot Slade is getting ready to get released from prison because they made a mistake. Now they're going to have to pay. They're going to have to pay the money because I refuse to stay locked up for something I didn't do in the first place. You're going to have to pay. District attorney, judge, and everybody else that was involved in locking me up for the last 5 years, get ready because I'm getting ready to sue your drawers off. Flim, flam, flim, flam, flam, flam. It's time for you to pay. Margot Slade, it's time to get the money. It's time for you to give up the money. My case has been overturned. Wait a minute. That's right, folks. KP's Video News. Bill Cosby had his conviction for sexual assault overturned. Overturned by a Pennsylvania appeals court today. Just a few minutes ago, a decision that was set free a man whose case had represented the first high-profile sexual assault trial to unfold in the aftermath of the Me Too movement. 3 years into the prison sentence of 10 years that he had served at a maximum security facility outside Philadelphia, the 7-member Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled Mr. Cosby, 83 years old, had been denied a fair trial in 2018. The ruling upended the legal case against Mr. Cosby brought by prosecutors in Pennsylvania that began his arrest in 2015 on charges of drugging and sexually assaulting a woman at his home in the Philadelphia suburbs. 11 years earlier, at the end of the trial in 2018, the jury convicted Mr. Cosby, who for years had brightened America's living rooms as a beloved entertainer and father figure, of 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault against Andrea Constant, to whom Mr. Cosby had been a mentor and at the time a Temple University employee. And 2019, an interim court had upheld the trial verdict, but the Supreme Court, the state's highest court, agreed to consider the case, and at the hearing in December, some of his court's 7 justices questioned prosecutors sharply. In their 79-page opinion, the judges wrote that a non-prosecution agreement stuck with the previous prosecutor meant that he should not have been charged in the case and that Mr. Cosby should be discharged. They banned and barred a retrial in the case, so there would be no retrial. In 2005, Mr. Cosby was investigated in the case of Mr. Constant, and the former district attorney of Montgomery County had given Mr. Cosby his assurance that he would not be charged in the case. The former district attorney, Bruce Castor, has testified that while there was insignificant and insufficient evidence to bring a criminal prosecution, he had given Mr. Cosby the assurance to encourage him to testify in a subsequent civil case brought by Ms. Constant. And in the light of the circumstances, the subsequent decision by successor DAs to prosecute Mr. Cosby violated Cosby's due process rights, the appeal ruling said. No other conclusion comports with the principles of due process and fundamental fairness to which all aspects of criminal justice must adhere. So, therefore, that means that Bill Cosby is getting ready to be released. His case has been overturned and he cannot be tried again for this particular case. So, as I said, Mongo Slade is coming home, and it's time to get the money. You owe the money, you got to pay the money. Because I'm getting ready to sue everybody that sent me to jail, district attorney, judge, jury, Miss Constand, for every penny that I could have made for the last 3 years of being incarcerated, which could have been $50 million, $60 million, $100 million a year. I'm suing the state for $300 million, and no, I'm not going to settle out of court. Mongo Slade, it's time to get the money. It's time for you to pay the money. You have got to pay Slade the money. Okay, folks, on with the show. Everything goes full circle, man. Everything goes full circle. They had a full list of 120 House Republicans who voted against removing Confederate statues. They just passed a vote by a vote of 285 to 120 to remove all the statues of the Confederates inside the Capitol building. And 120 Republicans voted against it. I wonder why. All those who voted against are Republican representatives, of which are currently 211. As expected, dozens of Republicans did back the bill, with 67 voting for it, in favor of it. Those who voted against the bill included John Caldwell Calhoun, James Paul Clark, and former governor of Alabama. Those are the ones that it represents. But it's a list. It's a full list, man. And I'm not going to even justify them by even putting their names on my webpage. But just know that 120 Republicans voted to keep those Confederate statues in the Capitol building. After these guys stormed the Capitol and, after they stormed the Capitol and turned around and waved the Confederate flag, had the big giant Confederate flag running around, walking around through the Capitol building, these idiots still turned right around and voted against getting rid of those Confederate statues. So I guess they really trying to push this, whatever they trying to push, conspiracy about Civil War or whatever, I don't know. Anyway, on with the next story. A family of Cameron Lamb, a black man killed in the backyard by a white cop, sues the police for $10 million. The family of Cameron Lamb, a black man killed in his own backyard by a white cop in 2019, is suing Kansas City Police Department and the officer for $10 million. The lawsuit filed by Lamb's 4 minor children accuses a detective of the Kansas City Police Department of violating Lamb's civil rights when he ran into Lamb's property without a warrant and fatally shot Lamb while he sat in his pickup truck. The officer has been suspended for more than a year and is awaiting trial on charges of first-degree voluntary manslaughter and armed criminal action in connection with Lamb's death. And the police department declined to comment on the lawsuit, citing a policy against commenting on pending litigation. It's unknown if the officer has a lawyer who will represent him in the civil case. He is represented by a public defender in the criminal case. So more records in the Vulcanaire criminal case, as he and another officer were investigating an early disturbance involving Lamb's truck and another vehicle when they went into Lamb's backyard on December 3rd, 2019. The Vulcanaire said he shot Lamb, who was still in his truck, after backing into the garage, and the police investigating into the shooting stated that Lamb's left arm was hanging out of the truck. prosecutors and attorneys for Lamb's attorney say Lamb was right-handed and he did not have the full use of his left hand as a result of an injury sustained in 2015. The lawsuit accuses Police Chief Rick Smith of assigning a former supervisor of DeValcanaire to conduct the investigation into the shooting and failing to tell prosecutors of the supervisor's connection to DeValcanaire. Lamb's family has doggedly sought answers to questions about his killing, meeting with the then president, the D.C. Dunce, last summer, along with other families of people slain by the police and while in custody. Lamb's children are being represented by S. Lee Merritt, a Texas civil rights attorney who represented several other black families killed by police. So they got the $10 million lawsuit going on over there. And so here's another case that involved this lawyer for two black teenagers arrested in Ocean City notify officials of intent to sue. Baltimore attorney William Murphy has notified Ocean City, Maryland officials that his clients, Tazier Griffin and Ryan Anderson, two black teenagers who were violently arrested earlier this month on the boardwalk after being stopped for vaping, plan to sue over the incidents. Murphy said Tuesday that the officers who fired a taser at Griffin, 18, and who kneed Anderson, 19, in the torso should be suspended without pay until investigation is concluded. This was a situation that should have been de-escalated. Instead, they escalated it, Murphy said in front of the federal courthouse in Baltimore when he's surrounded by Griffin, Anderson, and their families. Community activists and attorneys, including Senator Jill Carter of Baltimore City, who is serving as co-counsel. Murphy also said all charges should be dropped against the two teenagers. In the June 6 and 12 arrests were recorded by bystanders and posted on social media where they went viral. They have been condemned by the American Civil Liberties Union of Maryland, the NAACP, and several state lawmakers, including House Speaker Jones and Larry Hogan, which actually is a Republican, called for the video of Griffin's arrest disturbing. In the arrest report, police said Griffin was asked for ID when he was stopped for vaping, which is illegal on the boardwalk. He then allegedly became combative. But onlookers' video does not show him acting combative in the moment. Before he is shot by a taser, it shows police putting restraints on Griffin's wrists and ankles as he lies on the ground, then carrying him off. Police reported that they had held Anderson down on the ground with Officer Daniel Jacobs kneeing him hard in the rib cage after he was stopped for vaping, refused to show ID, and tried to walk away. Several of his friends who were yelling at the officer were also arrested. One of them was shot with a taser as well. Murphy said his firm is conducting its own investigation of the incidents which occurred while the teenagers were celebrating Senior Week. And Carter called the actions by the police egregious and said there was no legal justification for violently attacking these young, unarmed black teenagers. They clearly pose no threat whatsoever. So, it's one of those days, folks, and I'm trying to tell you, it's about to go Slade, and it's time for Bill to come home. This Bill, Uncle Bill, whatever Bill you want to call him, is getting ready to come home. That's right, this Uncle Bill. Uncle Bill's getting ready to come home. He just got, his case has been overturned. Uncle Bill is coming home. Uncle Bill is coming home. Uncle Bill. Bill Cosby's case has been overturned by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. And as I said, my ghost Slade is getting ready to get paid. Show me the money. Show me the money.
KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video